Hey guys, so Matt Goodwin seems like he's finally waking up to the realities of what's happening in this country. And I know he's always been on the forefront of actually talking about change, but I think he's actually the realization of it, the existential threat, you know, the the understanding of what's happening has finally dawned or is close to. And he just came out recently with a video criticizing reform for the first time and Nigel Farage by saying that it's very possible that the party could have been or may be infiltrated in the past or near future because of the rate of change and the people that they're bringing into the party. For example, if you flood the party full of conservatives that have literally betrayed the country, then what exactly are we voting for? So that was a good point raised by Matt. Got some brownie points in my book because a lot of people think he's just a statistics guy. For those that don't know, he works on analytics and statistics for Reform UK to help them poll policy suggestions and things like this. But there's been a lack of policy suggestions up until recently. Anyway, we're going to talk about that in a sec. So he's had some good takes, and I think this is another one. So it's a short clip, and we'll just check it out.
I cannot remember a time in my life when I've been this concerned about the state of the UK. And I'm not talking about the specific stuff, like what's going on the surface, what's happening at a particular hotel or in a particular police force, or who said what on social media. I'm actually talking about the deeper stuff, the more sinister stuff that is now taking root in British society. We can all feel it. It's almost palpable. The country has become febrile. I'm talking about the social contract, about the willingness of millions of hard-working, tax-paying, law-abiding British people to keep paying into the system, to keep supporting a system that many of them are now concluding is deeply unfair, deeply unjust, and is rigged against the hard-working majority.
It's one of the reasons I think that in my last video I talked about the father that edited out a Fatiga. Jesus. Let's try that again. The father that ended the life of the Fatiga for threatening his son. I think we saw then an example of the breakdown of the social contract. A man who has signed up for living in a country, thus paying his taxes his entire life. He signed up for a social contract that says, if I pay you this money, you are going to have to look after my interests first. You're going to have to look out for me and my family, my friends and everyone and make this country work. You're going to have to work in our best interests. Unfortunately, it seems as though the social contract has been broken. And that's what Matt is alluding to.
Because to be frank, what is happening in the UK right now is absurd. A succession of governments have lost control of the borders. Nobody seems willing to fix them. We don't know who's coming into the country. We don't know what they believe. What we do know is that crisis is imposing costs of between 7 and 10 billion pounds on the UK taxpayers, on the hard-working majority.
I don't know whether that's per year, per month.
A crisis they never asked for, they never voted for, they don't want to have to deal with. And at the same time as that, in front of their eyes, the people who are breaking their laws are being further incentivized to do so by being given private accommodation, rooms in luxury hotels, at a cost of somewhere around £5.5 million every day.
I still can't believe that they keep managing to put these immigrants into hotels that are right next to schools. It blows my mind how often that happens. Super weird coincidences everywhere.
Again, to be paid for by the hard-working majority. And on top of all of that, we then discover that the UK state has been involved in one of the biggest cover-ups in its history, importing thousands of Afghans.
Another one, I mean, this is just after the grooming scandal, which has been covered up for decades. I mean, it's just par for the course.
Into the country while gagging the press and not telling its own people. And when anybody raises questions over any of this, they're instantly derided as far-right extremists, as anti-immigrant protesters, when in reality, what they're saying is they just want to live in a society where people play by the rules, where the laws of the land are upheld, and their democratically elected politicians, the people they have chosen to elect them, put them first. That is
Would be
not
nice.
a lot to ask for.
Yeah,
That
it'd
is
be
the
nice.
basics of a nation state. That is how you run a country. Yet our leaders now seem incapable of doing even that. So I am worried about the country. I'm worried that people are going to withdraw their support. I'm worried we're going to have disturbances and protests. And I'm worried this is going to become an increasingly permanent feature of British life. And if you want to know who's responsible for that, it isn't the hard-working majority. It isn't political activists. It's the people who are supposed to represent us, who are supposed to respect and uphold that social contract, because it goes two ways. In order for the people to be willing to pay into the system must represent the people, and it is failing to do so. That's my bigger concern about the UK right now. And you know what? I think millions of people out there feel exactly the same
way. Anyway, I think I've got two main points from this. Matt needs to go further. I think now the English need their own constitution written down saying that they've got extra protections. We can't be on the same level as anyone that just rocks up to our country. We can't all have the same equal rights. They're not allowed to they shouldn't be allowed to represent themselves in government for a certain number of generations. I don't know. Take a pick, right? Let's just say 3, right? 3 generations. You've got to be in this country for at least 3 generations before you're allowed to be represented in Parliament. And even then, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I like it. I don't know. We've got to really think of new solutions for this, guys, because it's not racist to want to represent your own country and want to see your own countrymen representing you. There's a reason that all of the Pakistani MPs in Parliament were trying to get an airport built in Pakistan. The hard truth is, guys, that we're all a little bit racist because we have in-group preferences, and those in-group preferences have been hammered out of the native population for decades now, and we've been gaslit into believing that everyone's equal and everyone's got the same right as everyone else and we're all equal to everything else. But the rest of the world weren't taught that. So we're at quite the disadvantage by offering everything to everyone while they're just simply taking. There's an imbalance there. Anyway, so Matt Goodwin, I think, needs to go a little bit further on that one. And the second point is that I think this might be the moment where he starts to distance himself from Nigel Farage, because what Matt is suggesting is not what Nigel Farage is going to do. I think Matt wants mass deportations. Nigel Farage just wants mass police state. So I'm not going to play it because it's quite long, but he starts talking about policies at 6:33. And in that, all he basically does is talks about cracking down on crime. And he wants to ramp up the amount of powers that the police have to be able to arrest and detain someone for pretty much any reason. He's quite vague, but it sounds like pretty much any reason they want, and being able to do that very, very quickly as well. I don't really want to do that without judicial reform. That sounds terrifying, I'll be honest. Absolutely terrifying. Can you imagine Sadiq Khan's police with more powers? So that's worrying. You know, I think Nigel, he goes on for 6 minutes giving these policies on how to crack down on crime and how to give more powers to the police and how to be more pervasive in people's lives. Instead of just saying, let's just deport them. Let's deport the illegals. Let's just start there, right? Because he doesn't even go that far. He said, okay, the illegal ones that have committed crimes and are currently in prison, I'll deport them. Fine. Fine out. So we got that from him, but the illegals that haven't committed a crime yet, I guess they're all right until they commit a crime, and then I'll deport them. I'm not okay with this, all right? So Nigel wants to put... This is it, right? I've got it in my head. Very, very simple statement. Nigel wants to turn everyone into criminals in order to maintain control of the criminals that have been imported. So instead of deporting the criminals, he's going to treat everyone like they're criminals. It's going to be an open prison and everyone's the inmate. Problem solved. No more crime. I mean, it's tyranny, but no more crime.
If raising legitimate concerns about thousands and thousands of unchecked foreign males illegally entering our country makes me far right, then so be it.